Well, and speaking of intelligent people, today we've got somebody special with us. Eric, won't you introduce our special guest today?
That was a good transition, man.
Yeah.
I really like that transition.
Smooth.
So, guys, I am going to go back into my past here and welcome Caleb Cox. And he's got a YouTube channel called SoapyFresh. And Caleb and I used to actually DJ together. And so as I've been sharing stuff on Facebook, he sent me a message and he was like, holy crap, I didn't know that you were into the to the devil's money, just like me. And so so Caleb, introduce us a little bit about SoapyFresh and how you can give us the elevator pitch on how you came about it, because it's kind of a fun story.
Thank you so much for having me on today. I'm Caleb Cox, known online in the crypto communities as SoapyFresh. I'm a blockchain solutions developer specializing in community building and full stack web applications. Now, that's just a really fancy way to say I help people make their cryptocurrency project easier and more fun to access and interact with. I have a YouTube channel where I try to help people understand how crypto works, as well as give some easy to follow tutorials on how to use, buy, and mine cryptocurrency.
Yes, and I recently checked out your YouTube channel. I love your logo. I love your name. Every time I hear SoapyFresh, I just want to say so fresh and so clean.
You're right.
Clean.
Yeah, that's kind of my theme song. Super hip.
Oh, I know, right? I guess maybe that dates us. I don't know.
and we should probably just tell folks that you used that name because you started a soap business. And then you got involved in this. You were like, I'm done making
That's
soap.
Right.
I'm going to do
yeah,
this.
I was making soap at the time, and I needed an online username. So I created SoapyFresh, and then it just kind of stuck with me.
Well, I got to ask you, Caleb. I mean, I get tons of questions all the time. But what are the most common questions you get from people when it comes to getting involved in cryptocurrency? You know, when somebody has no experience, no exposure whatsoever.
The very first question they ask is usually, how much Bitcoin do you have? And I always like to ask them, well, how much money do you have in your checking account? They seem to think that Bitcoin is something like a comic book collection that you kind of lord over other people and you brag about, but it's not. It is really money.
Yeah.
So the next question that they usually ask me once they get interested is, what wallet should I use?
Yeah.
And usually I tell them it doesn't really matter. A lot of the times they have one in their mind. Get one that you like the color of. But the most important thing, and you mentioned it earlier, we were talking about the seed phrase. It's very important that they get a wallet that has a seed phrase along with it. Now, what that is that those are 12 words from a list of 2,048 words that basically secure your Bitcoin wallet and ensures that no one else can access it ever. Whenever you create a new Bitcoin wallet, 12 words will be randomly generated for you, and you need to write these down. These are your seed words or your seed phrase.
Don't put them on the computer either.
Don't put them in your Notes app or Evernote or your email. Don't email them to yourself. Write them down on a piece of paper and hide it from everyone that you know. Maybe tell your wife about it so that in case something happens, she'll be able to access it. But don't tell anyone what they are ever.
Caleb, I'm going to stop you real quick because it's super important. I never do this. We said hi to Matt. I want you to say hi to your family. My kids, Finley, Witten, are listening in the car, and I bet that you probably have listeners too.
Yeah, big shout out to my wife, Jordan. She's the best. She's a huge supporter of me, and my little girl, Kennedy, as well.
Awesome. Sorry,
Yep.
back.
Oh, yes. No. I think it's all appropriate. I love this. In fact, being on the radio is a real treat. And I love being able to, because we're serving people. We're serving
100%,
the community of Tulsa. We're trying to help people not get wrecked in the cryptocurrency space. And like I was saying earlier, I've helped clients who didn't know what a seed phrase was, who didn't know what the concept of the private key was. And when they had somebody who had some bad intentions set them up with a wallet, they gave them all the information but that seed phrase. And that seed phrase is important because it backs up your wallet. So if you had a hardware wallet and you lost that wallet, or maybe you lost your phone that had a mobile wallet on it, or your computer that had a desktop wallet on it, you could just download a new version of that wallet, enter in that seed phrase, and have access to your funds again. But when we come back, we're going to dive more into this and questions with Caleb.
Yeah, and it brings up an interesting point, folks, which is when you're thinking about your will and your last testament, you need to start thinking about your digital legacy. Will the people still here know how to get to your bank accounts because you left them the passwords? And man, if going to be in cryptocurrency, you better have that information somewhere, maybe in a safe deposit box, where they could get to it, right?
I got more on that.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that and much more. It's a deep topic, and we got a lot to talk about. Stay with us. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. My name is Russell Mills. You are listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk, and we are live and local in the big city this evening, talking about cryptocurrencies, talking about Bitcoin. More specifically today, we're talking about what if I want to dip my beak in and just get a taste of this world. Can I do it safely? Could I make a little money while I was doing it? Am I exposing myself to criminals? I don't know, but Matthew J. Moore does, and that's why we bring him and his experts in. Matt, welcome back. Thanks.
Thank you, Russell. And for all of you who are listening, this is going to be a fascinating ride for you guys because we love to talk to everybody, whether you're new in the space, whether you're dabbling, or whether you're an expert. We want to have some content for everybody, and I think education is important, so we're here to educate and maybe entertain you a little bit. The last few segments, we have been talking about wallets and exchanges. Not quite. We haven't got to the exchanges part yet, but wallets. What do we use? What do we protect? How do they work? These are some of the concepts that we've been diving into. So hopefully, those of you who are listening, that you've been learning something. But we have a very special guest with us today, Caleb Cox. He has a YouTube channel, a cryptocurrency YouTube channel, does tutorials with us, and he's here in Tulsa as well. You know what I've really enjoyed about this process, Eric Cooper here, he's our co-host as well and a good friend of mine. And Eric, you actually know Caleb, right?
Yes. So Caleb and I go way back, and as I said last segment, when he heard some stuff on the old social media, which I love, ... he said, "Hey, listen, I'm excited to hear that you are got in it too." And he pulled up a little something called his YouTube page, which is SoapyFresh, and he goes through so many different topics. He also is in a mode of taking care of and educating people, but he goes even beyond it because he gets into some of that Charlie Spears technical side of stuff too.
Right. Yeah. And that's perfectly fine. We need a variety of types of people. I've had many conversations about the space, which is, cryptocurrency is going to kind of evolve. Like there's so much to it. There's the history side, there's economics, there's the monetary policy, there's the political side, the technical side. And so what we're seeing is you're going to have people that specialize in certain parts of the space. Some of them are going to be consultants. Some of them are going to be miners. Some of them are going to be traders that can give you good technical advice when it comes to watching the charts of this stuff if you are a trader. Me personally, I love consulting. I love educating. I love taking a fundamental approach, a 30,000-foot view, and conceptualizing these concepts so it's easy for people to understand. But Caleb, I wanted to go ahead and welcome you back here. I know we were talking a little bit about wallets, but why don't you say hello to everybody who's listening?
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me here, Matt.
You're welcome, man. This has been fun. I've really, really enjoyed it. I have a list of wallets that I use that I really, really like. But I would love to hear your perspective when it comes to getting people into the space and what wallets they should use or what wallets that you even use. Do you have any recommendations or thoughts on that?
So I was talking to Eric a little bit earlier today off air. He was talking about, it really depends on kind of how serious you're diving into the space. If you're jumping in with $20, $25 and you want to use Coinbase to get in, that's probably going to be okay. They're not going to give you your seed words to your wallet, but hey, it's $25. But if you're going to get a little bit more serious, you need to be sure and you have a wallet that gives you your seed phrase that way that you can write them down, back it up, and no one else has access to that.
Yeah, and we were saying, it's important to not keep them on your computer or your cell phone. We want to make sure that information is stored in multiple places. You make multiple copies of it, and it is secret in where you keep them. I mean, the worst case scenario would be if you lost your phone or you destroyed your computer that had a wallet on it, or maybe you had a hardware device, you lost that device. You need those seed phrases to basically get your access to your funds again. You enter those seed phrases into the new download or the new hardware wallet, and you can have access to your funds again. It's really, really cool because for the first time in human history, we've got means to essentially store information just in your brain alone if you had to, and go over to another country, download a wallet or buy another wallet and enter in those seed phrases, and you have full access to your wealth again. I mean, it's a really, really, really cool concept. But I talk a little bit about hardware wallets because I really enjoy hardware wallets. But Caleb, we were talking a little bit before. We may have some different opinions on this, which is great. I think these.
I'm sorry. Could you explain the difference?
Oh.
I'm sitting here going, what a hardware wallet. So I
Yes.
have one of those in my pocket here, and it's got my credit card. I mean, I'm kidding, but what's the difference? And if I could follow up with what Caleb said, he said if you sign up on like Coinbase, they have your seed phrase, but you don't.
Yeah.
That would concern me deeply. I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
That is what I would not do that.
Yeah, no. So essentially what happens is when you're using an exchange like Coinbase, and I am not, if you're going to have any substantial money whatsoever in cryptocurrency, I do not advise anybody to keep that money on the exchange, because the exchanges are central points of failure. You're basically trusting them with your information. You're trusting them with your money. You know, it's kind of like that concept, why do banks get robbed? Because that's where all the money is, right? So and I am one of those people that subscribes to the idea of not your keys, not your Bitcoin, which basically says that if you don't have access to that seed phrase or that private key, you don't really own the asset. You're basically letting somebody else be a custodian of that asset, and that's important to consider because there is some risk involved, and some people are willing to take different kinds of risk. But hardware wallets are a physical device that basically all it's used for is that private seed or that private key, and it protects that information, and it's not connected to the internet ever. So essentially what happens is when you use that hardware device, you're basically sending signals back and forth from the device to the computer, and then you're confirming it on that device. It's one way to protect yourself, because if you're using let's say a mobile wallet or a desktop wallet, and maybe you don't take internet security serious, or you don't have good hygiene with the way you use your digital devices, and you fall prey to a phishing attack or something like that, and somebody gets access to that information and knows what that information is, essentially they can steal your money from you. And so a hardware wallet is one way. If you're going to be a custodian of your own funds, it's one of the safest ways to do that. So, and
What's it look like? Is it
it's like a USB device. Looks very similar
like a thumb
to that.
drive?
Yeah, almost like a thumb drive. So, but Caleb, what I know you mentioned something about you don't actually use a hardware wallet. Is there a reason why you don't use one?
It's just really not for me. So I own a ledger,
Right.
but it's still in the cellophane wrap.
Okay.
So I just feel like it's overkill. And I don't actually hold a lot of Bitcoin at once. I use it as kind of an intermediary for some other projects that I'm interested in. I feel that Bitcoin is far too transparent and not private enough.
Right.
I'd love to talk about that with you maybe on another day.
Oh no, absolutely. And I know Bitcoin is definitely somewhat pseudo anonymous, but it's not fully anonymous. And that's honestly, I don't think anybody that's doing illegal activity or bad things with Bitcoin are honestly quite dumb.
Because it can be tracked by anybody anywhere in the world with access to the ledgers,
Yeah, the
right?
ledger,
Because it's universally wide open. That's part of the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a decentralized ledger system, and there are privacy cryptocurrencies out there. One of the ones that I'm a fan of is Monero. And so, it's like, I'm not advocating, bad or illicit activities, but I do think privacy is important. So if you want privacy, you might consider one of those types of cryptocurrencies. But let's go back a little bit though to the wallet stuff. So Caleb, your primary activity with wallets, can you describe to the audience what that is? Like when you say you don't use a hardware wallet, you're using mostly mobile wallets, desktop wallets?
That's correct. I do like a mobile wallet. It's just simply called Blockchain. And I like it because it was the first one that I downloaded and I've stuck with it. It gave me my 12 seed words at the beginning. I wrote them down and I've just stuck with it. I think it's most important to choose a wallet that's easy to use. This one, I can access it with a PIN number very quickly. And I think it's really great that way.
Nice. Well, and when you're doing these tutorials with your content, is this a subject matter that you've dived into before?
I have not necessarily with Bitcoin so much because I feel like that's been kind of beat to death.
Mm-hmm.
I do talk about a lot of more obscure crypto projects and dive into how to use those wallets, even how to mine them, because there's a lot of cryptocurrency projects out there right now that you can still mine with a simple graphics card. And
Right.
any 13-year-old gamer probably has more than enough power to make a little bit of money on the side.
So I'm assuming you're definitely not a Bitcoin maximalist, and
Certainly not. No.
certainly not. No, but I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist, but I am a big fan of Bitcoin. I do have other cryptocurrencies, and you definitely have to get creative sometimes in how you store and get access to those cryptocurrencies. I am I'm not, I don't know what I would classify myself as I don't know. I have so many that it's like, most of my portfolio, 80% of my portfolio is Bitcoin. I do think Bitcoin is going to play a prominent role continually in the space as hard money, sound money, a layer one type money for the space basically a digital store of value. But when it comes to exchanges, what kind of exchanges do you tell people to get involved with when they're wanting to buy cryptocurrency?
I really like Binance. I appreciate Binance a lot. They've made a lot of they've really paved the way for a lot of other people. Kucoin is also a really popular one. I really like it as well.
I do too. In fact, Eric, I got you involved in Kucoin.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I know. I moved on up Jefferson style from Cash App all the way to Kucoin, and I've actually instructed 2 other people in on Kucoin already. So
very good.
Yeah, and the reason why you would use these other exchanges is Coinbase is great when you're just trying to get into the space, and it's one of the most trusted ones in America. But you don't have access to a lot of these other assets, these other cryptocurrency assets that are kind of coming to the scene. And the last episode, we talked about how I kind of come to these conclusions of which ones I'm going to invest in. But it's funny because with Binance, I'm a big fan of Binance too, but I also use their international version, which you actually have to have the VPN to do. There is an American version of Binance. So if you've heard of this obscure cryptocurrency project and you're like, hey, I'm really excited about this one and I want to get involved, and maybe you're listening right now and you need some help, feel free to reach out to me at mattjmoore.com. There's a place where you can, ask me questions, ask for help, and we can definitely get you set up and I can help you through that process. But when we come back, we're going to continue to dive more and more into the ideas of these wallets and these exchanges. Russell, are you having fun so far?
I'm having a blast, and I'll tell you guys again. I am absolutely like most of our listeners, just barely becoming aware that this is going on. Right. So everything you guys say, I have all these questions, but that's why I'm excited. This show is going to be going, I'm guessing, for a while, and maybe 5-6 years down the road, I'll have figured some of it out. We're going to take a quick, and Bob's looking at me in the control room like, I hear you, brother. We're going to take a quick time out. We'll be back with more cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Right after that, you're listening to 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Yeah, the show with the best theme music on KRMG. It's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Welcome back. My name is Russell Mills. Appreciate you hanging out with us this evening. Man, I can't believe we're almost out of time. So I'm not going to waste a bunch of it. Let's get right back into it. We're talking about wallets. We're talking about kind of dipping your toe and digging a little bit for that digital gold. Let's bring in our host, Matthew J. Moore. Matt.
Welcome, everybody, to the greatest party on the radio in Tulsa right now. It's cryptocurrency. Every time I hear that music, I think of a rave or a party, so I'm really excited about this. But that's how I feel about this space. And I feel like a lot of people, especially the people in this room, feel the same way. But if you're going to get involved in this space, we have to talk about wallets, which we have been. We've been talking about a little bit about exchanges. But if you've got questions about, is a hardware wallet, a mobile wallet, a desktop wallet, a web wallet, all these wallets, if you got more questions about it and you want to, spend a little bit more time, go to my website, mattjmoore.com, and, send me a message, ask me a question. I would love to set up a consultation, and I can definitely walk you through that whole process. But today we have had Eric Cooper, who is our co-host, bring in a special friend, a special guest. Eric, why don't you welcome everybody, our guest today again?
Again, want to welcome everybody. And if you have missed part of this, or if you want to go back and listen to this episode or previous episodes, go on krmg.com and you can rock the on-demand area. Find the first 4 episodes. Then usually by the end of the day, Bob, right? At the end of the day, we're going to be having number 5 up and going. So Caleb Cox has a YouTube channel, and it is he runs by the alias SoapyFresh. And Caleb, bring us back again here. Say hi to everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me here today.
Now, Caleb, lessons. We all do stuff for reasons. We have bumps and bruises along the way. What do you think is the number one lesson that you've learned throughout this whole crypto journey that you've been on?
The number one lesson that I've learned, and the number one lesson that everyone should learn, please, today, is not your keys, not your coins. When you create a Bitcoin or any sort of cryptocurrency wallet, you need to be sure to get those seed words. It's what we've been hitting on all day today, and it's the number one lesson that you can learn.
Absolutely. So very, very critical. And Caleb, you are a big fan of this space as much as I am. And I see this space really impacting and changing the world. We're going to have assets that win and lose. We're going to have assets that are going to change the world as we know it. Where do you see cryptocurrency in this space going in general?
Cryptocurrency, with no exaggeration, is going to change the world. I think there are a lot of things out there that could benefit from blockchain, which is the underlying technology behind all cryptocurrencies. The one that comes to mind would be real estate. I think right now the real estate system is archaic. We have to send things through the abstract office where they go through all the decades of the previous owners of a property. They go through all the ancient scrolls to see who gave it to who.
It's true.
And I think that with blockchain, that could be done almost instantly rather than taking 30 days to have to go through all these old books.
Yeah, Daryl Baskin, if you're listening, did you hear that? We could definitely have a show on that.
Crossover.
Yeah, right. But so what essentially, Caleb, got you interested in this space?
So I always wanted to earn money without working. I think that maybe the
I think a lot of us do.
coming out of me. I've always been a super nerd into computers, and I thought that this computer should be able to make money for me. So when I found out that my computer could make money for me mining cryptocurrency, I thought this was amazing. So it was Halloween night, and I did all this research, and I finally got my computer up and mining a cryptocurrency. And then I was like, I have to tell some people about this. So then I started recording some tutorials. I created SoapyFresh, the YouTube channel, youtube.com/SoapyFresh. I'm also on Twitter at @SoapyFresh. And I was like, I have to let these people know just how easy and simple this can be to earn your own cryptocurrency.
So what are some of the best ways other than your YouTube channel? I mean, I definitely love tutorials. YouTube is one of the number one ways I learn about cryptocurrency. I listen to 4 hours of content every day. But do you have any other means or methods of people how they should learn about the space?
Get in there and talk to people. I mean, self-education is very important. If you're interested in this at all, just jump in. Just try it out. Get out there and put $20 in it. Don't be scared. You know, you've probably wasted $20 on a lot worse things than a little bit of education into cryptocurrency.
Mocha latte.
Right. Yeah. And it's like if you don't have any skin in the space, there's not a whole lot of motivation, you know?
Right,
and it's like I tell people all the time, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset over the last decade. And to me, it's almost irresponsible why you wouldn't have a little bit exposure to it.
And let's just go ahead and say that we're right and everything heads this way.
Right.
Do you want to have a completely fresh start when you have to get there, or do you want to have a little bit of a head start? You can go on your website, Matt. You can go see Soapy Fresh. Send me a smoke signal or a messaging pigeon, and we will help you out.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing that people, if you're watching the market today, don't freak out. The volatility, the ups and downs of the space are head banging sometimes. Like you're just banging your head on things like, what is going on? You know, you got Elon Musk making tweets, and the market capitalization on this space is so small. But next week, I'd like to talk about the bull market, where we are in this space, and where it's going for the rest of the year. So please, listen next week. Bring some friends if they're afraid of some of this correction and consolidation that's going on right now, because there is a lot to talk about when it comes to that. But once again, Caleb Cox, where could people find your YouTube channel again? I'm
known online as SoapyFresh. That's youtube.com/SoapyFresh. And you can follow me on Twitter at @TheSoapyFresh.
And just to be real quick here, out of curiosity, where do you see this bull market cycle going? Just throw out a little teaser.
Well, I'm not one for charts, but buy the dip. Always. It's dipping today. Get in while you can.
That's me. Yep.
All right. Well, I'm still contemplating, but one of these days I'm going to pull that trigger. Now you got me thinking. I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. And I'm thinking now Coinbase is not going to be that answer. Hey, thanks for tuning in for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We will be back here next Sunday, live and local in the big city of Tulsa, doing it again, trying to dig for that digital gold, make it as understandable to you and me and as safe as possible. So join us. See you then next Sunday at 5.